Speed.
Camera. Slate in. Yep. Hi, folks. How are you?
Oh, just fine.
Yeah.
Aren't
Sleepy,
you supposed to
but
be in the
fine.
picture too?
No, I'm gonna stay out of the picture. So, Grandpa,
Yes.
tell me about that girl you met in that bathroom that one time.
Oh, no.
This is a porno movie. I can see that right now.
You were born in 1907, right?
Right. In Chicago.
You were born in 1910.
1910. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Jersey City, New Jersey.
The earliest memory I have is being in a reed carriage that my mother had in the back room. She had a millinery store. And for those who do not know what a millinery store is,
Not anymore.
it's a place where you make and sell women's hats. And we used to live in back of the store. And I remember being in this carriage and climbing out of it, and I don't remember any more after that.
He must have been in the carriage till he was about 6 years old. Because that's a...
And the next memory I have is being in the store, my mother's store in the front, sitting in the store, and a gypsy walked in and scared the wits out of me, and I started screaming, and my father came running in the store and grabbed me and
Did
took
you
me
have a
in.
marble or something?
A what?
A marble?
Yeah, and I happened to have a marble in my mouth. That's right.
You mean you swallowed it?
And I swallowed the
Oh my
marble.
gosh.
Yeah, I got
Oh my gosh.
so frightened.
I swallowed a fly, but not a marble.
In those days, there were cobblestone streets. Farmers used to bring their produce in from the farms on wagons, horse-drawn wagons. They'd come there Friday night, late at night. They'd go to the market. At that time it was Randolph Street. I don't know if Randolph Street, I think it's still known as a market center. And they'd bring their produce in from all the various farms out in the
Farms weren't that far away at that time.
No.
They were probably part of the city now.
And these things would cloppity clop. The farmer would be
Yeah.
sleeping there, and the horse would be pulling along.
Horse
They
knew
would
where
just
to go.
knew exactly where to go. And I remember the sound of the horse's hooves on that cobblestone.
Well, I remember the hearses with the horses. When I was in grammar school, when my teacher died, that's the way she was taken to the cemetery.
Well, my grandmother died. I remember they put her in a horse-drawn hearse, big black
And they were very ornate.
black
yeah.
hearse with windows
Nice.
on the side so that you could see the
Casket.
coffin or casket. My mother had her store about 20 miles away from where my grandfather had his store in Avondale. And I used to go between the two when I was a kid. And one of the most interesting and I remember enjoyable rides was to go up there with the motorman.
Is that trolley cars?
These are trolley cars, yeah. And at night, especially if I were coming home and it was after hours, there weren't that many people. I'd sit right up there. There were 3 windows where the motorman sat.
The fun was riding in the front of the
And
streetcar.
that's right.
You stand there and look out the window.
He was encased in a sort of a railing. And I'd hold on to the rail and I'd go and zip that thing around. And he's sitting there,
How did you and Grandma meet?
Well,
Well, yes.
I
Mr.
happened
Reagan.
to be working in my uncle's store, which was a delicatessen. And I used to work there part-time after school. And
Not grammar school.
not grammar school. I was in my 20s then.
22 years old when I met you. You were.
I was.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, Grandma used to come to the store. I think she lived in the neighborhood of my uncle's store. And she used to come in there, and I thought, oh, there's a pretty girl I'd like to go out with someday.
And I thought, gee, there's a guy I don't ever want to go out with.
You really thought that?
I didn't fall for him. I mean, he didn't appeal to me. I told my girlfriend, I gotta take you to show a young man there that looks like he's thinking of asking me something. I said, no, I really didn't.
Oh, I
You didn't know that, I
felt.
don't. No, you
So I didn't leave that big of an impression on you.
Apparently not. But that was how we met. Her
You
mother used to come
really?
in, and then later on, she used to come in more often, I noticed.
My mother sent me more often.
Oh, she did? Was she the instigator? I didn't know
wonder.
that. Finding things out.
I didn't think of it that way. But,
And
and
I don't remember how many times when I asked you for the first date. I know I asked you.
that one time you were going, I was walking from work, I guess. And you were coming down the street. I heard my name. I was wondering who the heck was calling me by name.
At that time, I had a friend from high school days who had a nice car, and I asked him if we could
Nice
double date.
girlfriend.
I said, let's double date. The
Rumble
rest-
seat riding.
Rumble seat, yeah.
They had a rumble seat in that at that time, and we would have to climb up. You've seen those old cars, haven't you, with the rumble seats?
See it back.
You walk up a couple of steps to get in
A
and
double
out.
date in a rumble seat.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the first date
I don't
took
recall.
her to a movie.
Is that right?
Downtown, yeah, downtown
What did
Chicago.
we see?
I think it was a Bing Crosby picture.
No kidding,
Yes,
I don't remember.
I remember that. But
It's a long time ago to try to
yeah, I'll try to
remember.
remember.
Tell me about that girl you met in that bathroom that one time.
Oh no!
Well, this is a porno movie. I can see that right now.
You're
Tell me
kidding.
about it.
You want to know about her?
Sure.
Well,
By the way, she's gone now.
Uh-oh.
was the question aimed at me or
Anyone in particular.
okay, do you want to tell the story? You want me to tell the story? Because it happened to me. Okay. I happened to be picking up Grandma she had gone to a meeting with her girlfriends. They had organized a club. And I don't know what the aims of this club was, but
Social.
social club, okay. So I went there. After the meeting, I was asked to pick her up. I went there. And while waiting for her, I had a piece of cake that the hostess had laid out there, hors d'oeuvres and cake and things like that. And I dirtied my fingers.
Is
So I
that right?
stepped into the bathroom, left the door open to wash my hands. And lo and behold, as I was washing my hands, one of the girls steps in there, into the bathroom and starts closing the door. And I washed my hands even harder then because I didn't know what was going on. And she starts to lift up her skirts.
Well, she asked you to wipe your hands on her slip, wasn't it? At least that's what you told me.
You better tell her, because I don't remember how I told you this.
Oh, that's what you told me, that she lifted her dress up and told you to use her slip.
And she says, "What are you going to do now?" And I was furiously washing my hands, practically washed the skin off my hands. Fortunately,
Grandma, huh?
your grandma happened to walk by, my girlfriend at the time, and knocked at the door and says, "Open the door.
What are you doing in there?
What are you doing in there?" And I said,
Well, I saw her walk in.
And I said to the girl, "You better open that door." She did, and I was very relieved. and quickly walked out of the bathroom, and that
The
was
end of the
end
episode.
story.
Well, we were engaged in 1930. That was a cute way he gave me a ring. It was his mother's birthday,
And my sister's
and we were
home.
at his sister's home for dinner. And boy, was I dumb. He had a ring with a red stone in it. You took it off your finger, and you want to know how it fit me?
It
You
was all
said
prearranged.
you're going to change it.
I
or something?
suggested that maybe other people want to see the ring, so
He changed
she
it.
passes the rice. She was on my right, and we had I think there must have been at least, well,
Who's your
let's see,
family?
one,
Who's your family?
two,
Your mother?
your mother and father.
Had to be at least 10 of us.
Yeah, we sat around, and so they passed the ring around the table. In the meantime, I had her diamond engagement ring, and I said, "Well, here, let me put it back on your finger again." And here hey, surprise!
It was a surprise to me,
Diamond ring
because
engagement.
the man that made my rings was Grandpa's family's friend. He was a platinum smith, and he made the rings for him.
It was so
So it
original.
was nice.
What was that one, that robbery where you worked?
That was a loan company for automobiles, the commercial credit, it was called at the time. That was on a Saturday afternoon. They had us cased all right. They knew I was working that day because I handled cash. He came in and just pointed his gun and let us know it's a robbery, and he took everything out of the drawer. He knew where my desk was. I walked from my counter to the windows, which is across the room, and took my engagement ring off and put it in my mouth. And then he made us lay down there. Just the manager and I were there. Put this filing stool over me and tied my hands to it. And the manager was laying there, and then he wanted me to tell him where the rest of the money was. And I couldn't talk because I had this ring in my mouth. I had to sort of shuffle it around with my tongue. And he wanted to hit me over the head with what do you call one of those billy clubs, one of those little metal things they have. And my manager says to him, "Well, she'll tell you where everything is." And of course, I told him where the deposit was. And then they didn't release us. They told us to stay there until they ran away.
But you kept that ring in your mouth.
I kept it in my mouth. I saved it. Although he never asked me to give him any jewelry or anything, but I wonder if he would have taken it. He probably was there just for the money because they were professional gangsters. We had recognized their pictures when the police showed them to us. But due to the insurance company's coverage, we were told not to identify them because it would be even worse then for us.
Grandpa's ring is gone.
Grandpa's ring, yes.
My
Married
wedding
50 years is long enough. No, his
Well,
finger swelled.
Finger swelled. I had heard it digging in the garden, and it swelled to a point where the ring was cutting off the flow of blood to the rest of the finger.
That's
Started
the
to get
second
purple.
one. Didn't your
So-
other one do the same thing?
Yeah.
You had to have it sawed?
Yeah. So I had to take it off for the time being. It's getting back to normal now, but
But the ring is going to stay on the dresser, in
I
the
know.
dresser, I bet. We got married in August
33.
of 33.
Married at St. Sylvester.
St. Sylvester's,
St. Sylvester.
by Monsignor. Real nice gentleman. Oh, he was such a nice man.
I had to go there for
Instruction. Because Grandpa wasn't baptized when he was little. Before we got married, yeah, he was baptized. So I'm his godmother.
First they first married. What was it like? A struggling couple.
Struggling is right. We
Yeah,
married
we-
during the Depression. Right?
yeah, but we didn't
It
we
was
didn't
the way of life.
consider it struggling.
Mhm.
As a matter of fact, we thought we were pretty well off compared to other people during the Depression. So many people were out of work. Some people had to stand in line to get food. That didn't happen to us. We were fortunate that I was working, even though it was a very small
Well,
salary.
We didn't get married because you weren't
Yeah.
working until you found a
That's
job.
right, until I found a job. I was out of work probably for completely out of work. I always had some kind of work part-time. But
Actually, we
things
waited
were
3
really
years to
rough
get
for a
married.
lot of people in those days. I'm talking about the late 20s. As a matter of fact, the bank that I was working in at the time had closed because they could not operate anymore. No profits, and a lot of other banks had to fold.
We didn't earn much.
But,
What was it, $75 a month was my salary? Of course, that was little
Yeah.
too, even in those days. It wasn't
You had a
much.
store?
We didn't have a store until your mother was about 4 years old. See, we bought the store in 1937. She was born in 34, so she was 3 years old when we had the store.
The fellow was in there was going broke, and we looked at it. We liked the location, and we paid $300 for the business. All there were about maybe
Shelves.
empty shelves in there and a few
A little register.
little stock, but nothing much. And we built it up to where we were able to supply the store. We had a full store, a very well-stocked store. Bought a new refrigerator case. We used to open every day until 10, 11 o'clock at night.
Including Sundays.
We opened Sundays. We were going all the time. And we did all right. And then I got a job with the government. I took an examination for a bank examiner, and I took that.
So Grandpa stayed at work, and I stayed at the store, lifting
With
cases.
a child?
Well, your mother, of course, was 3, and then when we were expecting Christine, then we closed
So
it. I
at
couldn't
that
stay in the
time,
store.
these mom and pop stores like we had were doing pretty well. But then chains came into
Yeah,
existence.
first chain store
Chain
opened up
stores
near us.
came in. So our business started to go down, and we decided rather than just to exist.
We sold the merchandise really as much as we could at cost to the customers, and that's the way we really closed it up. That was in July of 42.
I continued working for the government.
And I continued raising a family.
What remembrance stand out most in both your lives? There's gotta be good
Regarding
or bad.
what?
Good or bad.
Regarding what?
Just anything. Just the most memorable times in your life.
Goodness. Let's
You
see.
say
gotta be-
both good and bad?
Good or bad.
Sad.
Sad, yes.
Yeah.
Deaths in our family were really the
Good was seeing all you children and the fun we had with them. That would be really a lot of fun that we can think of. That I can think of, I'm sure you too. Always sitting on Grandpa's lap. You know how he is now with the great-grandchildren? Lap
yeah,
time.
those were probably the
Yeah, those were the fun times, really, for us that we'll remember. The bad times were worrying about them in many cases, as we still do, right? So I don't really know. So much good and bad, not really bad. I can't say bad.
Have you changed personally since when you were, say, my age? Have your outlook on things changed really?
Me?
Sure.
Gosh. No. At least I don't think so. Maybe someone else would notice the differences,
You
but
still
I
feel the
don't.
same person now as you were, say, 30 years ago?
More tired. But yes, I still like to do the same things and enjoy the same things. I haven't really changed much in that way.
Grandpa?
Well, I suppose to get the real answers on that is to ask other people who have observed us during
Yeah, that
all
would
these
be
years. But to try to analyze it,
ourselves. It's hard.
it's a little tougher. We just like Grandma, I feel that I haven't changed too much.
No, we've never.
How about the world around you, America?
Well, that has changed a lot, of course. Our
For the
attitude,
good or the worse, for better or worse?
in my mind, it has changed. As far as people are concerned, I think our attitude is that the people aren't as responsible and as
Considerate of one another.
that's right.
People are very
Yes, they used
selfish
to be.
now. I mean, at least the people that we.
People seem to
Get
be a
together
little greedier today. It seems like money seems to be the main object in life. It wasn't that way at one time. I think there was more home life at one time.
Families lived closer together in distances before too, which made it nicer.
There
Families
is
are not
today,
as close anymore.
probably due to the automobile, TV.
But some families, they just separate and don't see one another. Well, in my own case, my brother and I we're in touch with one another, but we don't see one another. But I think distances make the difference. You know, living away, and especially now for us, to drive into the city isn't exactly an easy thing.
We were the first family to move in this particular house.
The community was quite young then. 1968 we moved in here, didn't we? In August. And your folks moved into a brand new home.
You consider this
Sorry.
family close?
Well, your family is quite close. I would say surprisingly so. I mean, all of you children. I mean,
Yeah, I think
togetherness. There's a lot
we're
of
close.
togetherness in our family,
We're close.
considering that they're grown up and away.
That's my baby grandson that I used to change diapers with over here.
Is marriage important as it used to be to people nowadays? You think?
Statistics apparently are quite visible. You can see that their marriages are not as durable as they were.
Living together doesn't require marriage, but in the end, the results are the same.
You think it's bad for people to live together? Is it bad for a relationship?
How would we know? We've never tried it.
How long have you been married?
Let Grandpa tell you that.
51 years.
51 years.
Over 51 years, yeah. 51.
It will
I
be
think
52
September,
in
October,
August.
November, December, January.
Be 52 in August.
Really?
51 and 5 months.
Wow.
How did you do it?
How we
What?
do it? Very
Marriage-
carefully.
Nowadays, marriages last a couple weeks.
Give and take.
People want to know this stuff. How do you
Yeah.
make it work so long?
Give and take.
She gives and I take.
Not true. Not true. But that's you
No,
just
common respect for each other.
there are
It's,
some fights here and there.
So,
You know that. It's not
do
always
you think people give up to her easily now?
I think
Oh,
so.
certainly
Yeah.
they do. They feel that they've got it. Each person thinks they've got it all coming just to them. They don't know how to.
Remember that now.
What do you mean? We wouldn't be here this long if we didn't do it that way.
So give and take, huh?
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
You take the good with the bad. You can't have all good all the time.
I take the good and she takes the bad. Now I'm reversing that. What I think happens as life goes on, that love that you have for each other when you're young is a different kind of love as you
Really?
go on into maturity. And it's
Oh,
love,
yes,
but of a different kind.
different way, sure.
First love is that
Lust.
passion. Later on, that sort of eases off, and it becomes sort
It's
of
really-
a mutual respect for
That's
each other.
right.
It's a different kind of love. We sort of depend on each other.
Caring for one another in many ways. It's not just that gung-ho thing where you gotta be holding hands and passionately kissing.
The time I hold hands is when she's trying to do something. And
Or
I'm trying
pushing
to
your
protect
hand
myself.
away. Crazy couple.
Sweet. Slated.